In 1922, world leaders gathered to solve a crisis so severe they thought it would end civilization, and their solution nearly worked. After World War I ended, the global economy didn't bounce back. It collapsed. Picture this: currencies were worthless, trade had stopped, and countries owed each other billions in war debts they couldn't pay. Gold was scarce, paper money was printed without restraint, and nobody trusted anyone else's money anymore. It was like trying to run a neighborhood economy when half the people's paychecks are written on napkins. So here's the puzzle. How do you rebuild trust in global money when every nation is broke and blame each other for the mess? That's the question that brought economists, diplomats, and finance ministers to Genoa, Italy in April 1922. They came with one mission: redesign how the world's money system would work. The conference lasted 2 months. Delegates from 34 countries showed up, though not America, which was still isolationist and refused to attend. They debated constantly, argued about who owed what, and tried to hammer out rules that everyone could live with. The centerpiece of their plan was radical. Instead of requiring every currency to be backed by physical gold held in vaults, countries could use gold-backed currencies from other nations as reserves. Think of it this way. Normally, a bank keeps actual cash in a vault to back up the money it lends. But the Genoa Protocol said a bank could keep another bank's cash instead. Britain's pound could back up Italy's lira. France's franc could back up Germany's mark. It was financial trust on a global scale, a bet that everyone would play by the rules. Why would anyone agree to this? Because the alternative was worse. Without some agreement, countries would keep printing money endlessly to pay debts, which would destroy the value of everyone's currency. The Genoa Protocol was a lifeline, a way to stabilize exchange rates and get trade flowing again. For a moment, it looked like it might actually work, but there was a catch hidden in the fine print. The system only worked if every nation followed the rules. No printing money beyond their reserves, no currency manipulation, no secret deals. And in the 1920s, not everyone kept their promises. Some countries quietly printed more money anyway. Others tried to grab advantage by devaluing their own currency to make their exports cheaper. The real problem emerged slowly. Germany, crushed by war reparations it couldn't afford, started printing marks in massive quantities. Hyperinflation set in. By 1923, a single US dollar cost billions of German marks. A loaf of bread cost more than a factory did the year before. The Genoa system cracked because one major player, Germany, couldn't hold up their end of the bargain. Even as Germany spiraled, the Genoa Protocol limped along for a few more years. Britain tried to return to the gold standard at an artificially high exchange rate, which weakened their economy further. France built up its own gold reserves instead of trusting the system. And the United States, which had stayed out of the whole thing, kept its own rules separate. By the late 1920s, the Genoa Protocol was effectively dead. Countries quietly abandoned it, went back to protecting their own currencies, and started building walls around their economies. When the stock market crashed in 1929 and the Great Depression began, there was no international framework left to coordinate a response. Countries competed against each other instead of cooperating. So what was the Genoa Protocol, really? It was the world's first serious attempt to build a coordinated global financial system. Not because countries loved each other, but because the alternative, economic chaos, threatened everyone equally. It asked nations to trust strangers with their money, and that trust couldn't hold. The Genoa Protocol failed not because the idea was wrong, but because it required something that nations have always struggled to deliver: honesty. When push came to shove, countries prioritized their own survival over collective rules. And that choice had consequences that echoed through the 1930s and beyond. Today, we live under a different system, one built after World War II with lessons learned from Genoa's failure. The International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and fixed exchange rates were designed to do what Genoa tried to do: create stability through rules that everyone agreed to follow. Whether those systems will hold up better remains an open question. The mystery of Genoa isn't why it failed, it's why we keep forgetting it. Every few decades, nations try again to build global financial cooperation, and every time, we're surprised when self-interest wins out. Genoa showed us that global finance isn't about finding the perfect system. It's about whether enough countries are willing to follow the rules long enough for trust to take root. This video is for educational and informational purposes only and is not financial advice. Always do your own research. Subscribe for more deep dives into the forgotten moments that shaped how money, markets, and economies actually work. Subscribe for more deep dives into the forgotten moments that shaped how money and economies actually work. This video is for educational